Guten Morgen, Datiaha, and bienvenidos. What's going on, everybody? This is your man Azriel, the one signing on. Of course, you know, before every video, I gotta put out my admin notes. First off, at the top of the list, thank you guys for watching the channel. It is definitely, something I take pride in. I'm not really trying to do this so much for money, but make a little extra money on the side. But more importantly, because I do want to put out information that can help change the community. Second, of course, you guys have seen some videos coming out. I'm working on trying to come up with new content. I'm going to put the email that I set up, and I was supposed to put it on last video. I didn't, and I'm so sorry. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to put the email for this channel. I'm going to put the personal email in there, so if you guys can come and contact me and send me emails, what have you. I may even set up a Google Voice line for you guys to call and leave text messages, call and leave voicemail messages, so that we can talk. I understand in doing that, I may open myself to avenues where my trolls and my stalkers are going to just verbally harass me over the phone, but that's okay. I have a trick that I'd ask if you try that shit. Now, today's topic is going to focus on something a little bit weird, because I'm going to go out to left field, and I'm going to try to bring something from left field back to home plate. Now, some of you may have heard of this cartoon called Full Metal Alchemist. Like, I was a nerd and a dweeb as a kid. And I used to watch a lot of cartoons, and sometimes you find little tidbits of information that has a bigger impact than you realize. Or at least for the story, it's the core issue of the story, but it may have a real life application. So, getting back to point, I was never a fan of the show, but there was a concept in the show that was strange to me. So there is this thing called the concept of equivalent exchange. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to talk to you about it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to come back on the other side of that clip, and I'm going to talk about it or how it applies to the black community. So, right. So, what does that mean? Well, the core issue and the core ideology of this channel is that, based on such a simple principle that's taken from our fantasy universe, strangely enough, and bear with me, I'm actually going somewhere with this, is that in order to build a better black community, you have to destroy the old one. It's like building a house, right? If you build your house on a shitty foundation, and the plumbing is screwed up, the wiring is substandard, there's fundamental overload stresses in the load-bearing joints, the house is no good. Such is the black people today. We have a strong foundation, unfortunately, but the house that's built on top of the foundation went to shit. Now, some may argue that the foundation now is not even good anymore. But if we look historically, all the values that we have in the past are not so far removed that we can't go back and start to re-implement them. But the house, the black people, is the house, and that house is no good. So in order to create a better house, or in this case a better community, you have to systematically destroy the old house, because you need that energy, you need the material to become more malleable, so you can rebuild it brick by brick, pipe by pipe, joist and stud by joist and stud, until you have built a stronger house with better plumbing and the wiring is up to standard, and there is equal load carried in all the load-bearing joints. Now, how does this break down further? Well, the law of equivalent exchange, in some strange way, is not applied in black lives. Whether we talk finances, whether we talk relationships, whether we talk community. And it's saddening because that law, in some weird way, works in every other community. For example, in the Jewish community, they understand financially you must give something in order to obtain something, which is wealth, and to obtain value to what you do, you have to give up something. So what they do is when they want to own businesses, they commit wealth so that they can gain wealth. Like they just built a new museum, a new Holocaust museum a couple of years ago on Eastern Parkway and Kingston Avenue, a Holocaust museum. It was a very expensive project, but it was beautifully done. Just like they know to build their community financially, they understand that they will have to take money and invest it to get money back. Like I've seen Jewish folk pick pennies up off the street, and people find that strange, but to them, a penny saved is a penny earned, right? Now, where am I going with all this, really? You see, part of the reason why I say some of the things that I say, and some of the things that other people say, and agree with it, is because I realize that in order for us to progress as a society, or rather to become a society, we have to draw from our past experiences, and we have to use that and make it malleable. And instead of it being a weapon used to destroy, we can use it as a tool to create. But first, we have to destroy the things that are weighing us down. A lot of people are very crabby. We are very spiteful. We are very ignorant as a people. And a lot of people get angry with the negative reinforcement that is coming out from a lot of YouTubers because they feel we're being casted in a negative light. Well, I have news for you. We don't have to do that job. That job was already done for us because the rest of the world sees us that way. For example, if you were to travel to the Far East, to Asia, notice that a lot of black people have negative stereotypes because of how the media depicts the black community. And to be perfectly honest, even though it might be sensationalized a bit, it's not very far from the truth. So, if it goes far east to Asia and it goes as far, it's very domestic as in being in its own country, where the whites and other races look at the black community and say pimps, drug dealers, whores, and all kinds of negative things, then what we, the YouTubers here who are speaking about it, what we're doing is basically reiterating that this is what the rest of the world sees. So, again, the law of equivalent exchange. If you want to create a better black community, you have to destroy the old one so that the black community that is destroyed becomes more malleable, and now you can reconstruct it to be a better society. It's not supposed to be a loving process. I mean, it's going to be done with love and, of course, with intent. But it's not supposed to be painless. And I think that what most black people want is a painless transition. It's not going to work that way. Notice in civil rights, people bled, people died to get to the point where we could be considered at last equals. What this really calls for in order to shape the black community is a revolution. And a revolution is not bloodless. It is not painless. There's going to be suffering. There's going to be pain. And some people just may die to change this community. I want y'all to let that sink in for a minute. In order to really begin the process to change this community, there has to be a revolution. It needs to be one culturally. It needs to be sweeping changes across the board. If you look into most black communities today, you know you got a weed spot. You know you got a couple of places where you can find a couple of hookers if you need a helping hand late at night. You have a lot of things, a lot of elements that you don't find as often in more upscale neighborhoods. Do they exist? Yes. But are they as rampant? No. For a moment, let's consider for a moment um, a plausible thing, a plausible idea. We want to change the media's expectation or the media's depiction of black people, right? Let's look at these TV networks like VH1, MTV, BET, right? We support these networks. And some of these networks put on shows like The Bad Girls Club, Football Wives, Housewives of Atlanta, Basketball Wives, reality TV programs that complicitly are part of this demographic of shows and programming of the media that denigrate black people and specifically black women. Now, if you want to change something, you of course have to give up something or destroy something of equal value. So if you want to change the image of the black woman in America, because a lot of YouTubers, female black YouTubers, are complaining about it, why not destroy this programming? Why not say, I'm not going to watch this anymore? I'm not going to support this. Because if this is making me look bad, or it's making my sisters look bad, it makes me look bad. And we need to stick together. So if I think this is bad and my sister to my left and my right thinks this is bad, then maybe we need to collectively come together and say, we don't want this programming shown anymore. We want programming that shows this. And if we can't get programming that shows this, then what we're going to do is we're not going to support it. We're not going to watch it. And I promise you, the reason these programs are doing so well is because you black people, you black women watch them. If you're not watching them, the ratings go from here and they start to decline. It may not be a noticeable decline, but if you're the target audience and the target audience is no longer there, what are you going to do? However, it's not just in the media or in society that we have to enact this law of equivalent exchange. We have to enact this law even in our families. Like, let's be realistic, and this is more towards the fact of men. Being a married man myself, I know firsthand that marriage is not an equivalent thing. So many things and so many laws are skewed in favor of the female. But we have to get to a point in black society where the law of equivalent exchange, where in order to create something to create or obtain something, you must destroy something of equal value or lose something of equal value. We have to do away with this system of marriage that we have it and create a system of marriage in where men and women are equally empowered. Now, that doesn't mean in every single category that there's going to be a balance between the two. I don't think that's a very feasible idea. I do believe, however, that in some respects you can make it equal in different ways. For example, I as a male understand that I am the head of my household. All decisions will be had finally by me. I have the sole determining decision-making power over most major family affecting issues. Now, how do I offset that? I tell my wife, you're responsible for the day-to-day. That means in most cases, kids and all, you'll have the decision to make. Is it a fair way of doing it? To some people, yes. Some people, no. But this is how I make it equal. Rather than she runs everything in the house and I do all this on the outside, I have some say in my house on most of the major family affecting issues. Like, when we move, do we buy a car, home improvements, things that require a huge investiture of energy. I handle that. Like the bills, I take care of all that. And on the other hand, my wife is like, well, we're going to buy this for the house because we want to get this thing going, or I want us to take the trip with us and do this, or the groceries. Like that's a good example. If I will go and buy the groceries, my wife will choose what groceries we get. And in a way, we set up this weird system where on one hand, where it seems I have a lot of authority. On the other hand, on other issues on the other end of the spectrum, my wife has more authority. So, for example, we're expecting a child later this year. You can best believe if kid goes, "Mommy, can I go do this?" She says no. Kid comes to me, "What'd your mother say?" I mean, that's the way I'm thinking about it, is that equivalent exchange. And I think that in black relationships, especially in black families, there must be this law of equivalent exchange between the men and the women. That, even though we want to assign and create gender roles so everybody knows their station, give them equal powers in different areas so that there's harmony, if that makes any sense. And even to teach this lesson to our children, equivalent exchange. When I grew up, I wanted stuff. So the way I had to get the things I wanted before I got a job, I had to invest very much in my academics, which took away my free time to hang out and play ball and do everything else in order to get the items I wanted from my parents as a reward or something as a gift for me, i.e., for example, I'm a very big video game kind of guy. So I wanted a PlayStation 2. What I had to do was, my parents were like, if you do this, and they bought it when it just came out, this was the bargain. I had to come in with straight A's on everything for the entire semester. If I did that, passed my finals, and didn't cut and had less than X amount of days missing from school, when the system dropped, here, you get it brand new, it's all yours. Needless to say, because I didn't have the money to buy it at the time for myself, I worked my ass off, and I got it. The point of that was I was trying to say was we teach our children the law of equivalent exchange because we want them to understand that in the world, you cannot get anything without giving up something. No matter what, if you want to be a success, you have to make sacrifice. You have to be diligent. You have to seek something. You have to understand that you're going to have to give up something in order to be successful. For some people, you have to give up your free time in order to be better at your craft. For other people, you have to give up you have to give energy in order to help somebody, which in turn will then later down the line help you monetarily. You have to give up pride in order to network with people, in order to build a web of contacts, so that as you advance in the industry, you know people all over the place and you can actually get your foot in the door in some higher end places because you were able to give up your pride and whatever else at the lower end in order to build something that you can be proud of later, if that makes any sense. So, reasonably, this law of equivalent exchange in the black community is not in effect. But to put it into effect could start us going along our way. Now, I understand that this video was pretty long, it was pretty out there. I hope that I was able to get you guys going somewhere and get the engine turning. If I didn't, I probably will continue doing this particular subject in another video. So, what I need you guys to do, you know the drill. Put your comments in, your likes, your subscriptions, all that. Share the video. If you like what we're talking about, please, by all means, talk to me in the comment box. I look forward to it. I really want to discuss this concept, even though I took it from a cartoon. I want to discuss it because I think that it has a real world application, and I think that in the black community, we have become lazy. We expect things to be given to us. We don't want to work for them. So I want to talk about this law of equivalent exchange, and I think I'm going to put this under my introspection series because I want people to understand that we have to work at building ourselves, our families, our community in order to be stronger, to be better, in order to change the perception the world has of us. We have to destroy that negative perception, the negative aspects, in order to build positive ones. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate your time, your consideration. Please stay tuned. I'm going to try to have the episode of The Black Family recorded tonight. It probably will not be published until tomorrow. I'm still doing some research topics. I have not forgotten about the Robinson Cano thing. I'm still, searching that one out. Also, there will be a part 2 to the Bigotry Free TV. Don't be that guy. All right? Take care. God bless. You guys have a wonderful, blessed day.